We live in a world where noise is a badge of honor. If you are always talking, always posting, always reacting, people assume you are confident, you are relevant, you are strong. But there is a power that almost nobody is taught to use. Silence. Not the silence of weakness. Not the silence of fear. The silence of choice. The silence of someone who knows they do not have to prove themselves every second to everyone. Today, we are going to explore why silence might be your greatest weapon, a hidden strength in a loud world. And if videos like this help you understand yourself and move differently in life, take a moment to subscribe to this channel. That simple action supports this project, helps these messages reach more people, and allows me to keep creating content that nourishes your mind instead of just adding more noise to it. Now, let us begin with a simple truth. Silence is not empty. We often imagine silence as nothingness, a blank space between sounds. But silence is full of things you usually miss. Your real thoughts, your real emotions, the details of other people, the atmosphere of a room. Noise distracts. Silence reveals. Think about the last time you were really quiet. No music, no scrolling, no small talk to fill the air. Maybe you were alone in a room, or walking outside at night. What happened? Your mind probably started to show you things. Memories, questions, fears, ideas. And maybe you reached for your phone or turned on a show because it felt uncomfortable. That is the first reason silence is powerful. Most people cannot stay there. They need noise to avoid themselves. If you learn to stay, you become different. You know what you feel. You see what you avoid. You hear what your intuition is trying to say. And a person who knows themselves deeply is much harder to push, to manipulate, to confuse. But the power of silence is not only inside you, it also changes how you move in the world. Let us look at 3 places where silence becomes a weapon. In conflict, in decisions, in presence. First, silence in conflict. There's a pattern you may recognize. Someone attacks you. They blame you. They twist your words. Your heart starts racing. Your chest feels tight. And suddenly you are defending yourself at full speed, talking fast, explaining everything, trying to prove you are not who they say you are. It feels like strength. But in these moments, the more you talk, the less power you have. Because now you are reacting to their story about you, instead of standing in the truth you already know. Silence, used consciously, changes this. Imagine someone accuses you unfairly. You never care. You always do this. You are so selfish. Instead of throwing your words like a shield, you pause. You breathe. You let a short silence exist before you answer. In that silence, 2 important things happen. First, you come back to yourself. You feel your feet on the ground. You remember. I know who I am. I do not have to accept every label that is thrown at me. Second, you let the other person sit with their own words. Most people do not expect silence. They expect an instant reaction, an explosion, a drama. When you do not give that, their emotional wave has space to fall on its own. Then you can choose your response instead of firing it. Sometimes your response can be simple. I hear you are upset. Let us talk when we are both calmer. Or, I do not accept being spoken to like this. We will continue this conversation another time. That quiet firmness is more powerful than 10 minutes of defending yourself to someone who is not even listening. Silence can also mean not answering at all. Not every accusation deserves a full explanation. Not every provocation deserves your energy. You do not have to attend every argument you are invited to. When you see that a person is not talking to understand, but to win, to hurt, to control, your silence is a decision to step out of their game. That is not weakness. That is strategy. Second, silence in decisions. Big or small, your life is shaped by decisions. Who you stay with, what you say yes to, what you say no to, where you invest your time and attention. In a world that glorifies speed, there is pressure to decide fast. Answer now. Decide now. Say yes now. So you do. You say yes to invitations you do not want. You commit to projects that drain you. You accept apologies that are just words without change. Because you do not take a moment of silence between request and response. Silence here means space. The space to feel your real answer. Imagine someone offers you an opportunity, a job, a favor, a meeting. Your mind starts shouting, "You should do this. What if you miss out?" They will be angry if you say no. Instead of answering on that wave, you say, "I will think about it and let you know." Then you go to a quiet place, even if it is just inside your own breath. You ask yourself, when I imagine saying yes, how does my body feel? Tight, heavy, drained. And when I imagine saying no, relief, lightness, calm. Your body often knows before your mind stops spinning. That small silence protects you from decisions made out of fear, guilt, and panic. Third, silence in presence. There's a kind of strength that appears when a person can be somewhere and not rush to fill every space with words. Think of people who walk into a room and you feel them, even when they are not the loudest voice. They listen carefully. They speak when it matters. They are not chasing attention. That is the power of quiet presence. Silence here does not mean you never talk. It means you do not waste your voice. You do not share every thought you have. You do not reveal every detail of your life to everyone who asks. You are selective, not because you are hiding, but because your energy is not a public resource. When you listen more than you talk, you learn. You notice how people speak about others when they are not present. You see their values, their fears, their patterns. You begin to understand who is safe to open up to and who only wants information to use later. Silence, used like this, protects your secrets, your projects, your heart. You do not announce every move. You let your work speak when it is ready. You do not need constant validation along the way. Now, before you start thinking, "So I should just shut up and never speak again," let us clarify something. Silence is powerful when it is a choice, not a prison. Some of you were silenced by fear, told as children, "Do not speak. Do not complain. Do not disagree." So you learned to disappear. That is not the silence we are talking about. That is suppression. Healthy silence is different. It is grounded, conscious, connected to self-respect. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is to speak, to say, "This is wrong. I do not agree. I am hurt." No. Silence is not a replacement for a voice. It is a partner. Knowing when to speak and when to be quiet is what creates wisdom. Let us bring all of this into practical steps you can begin to practice. First, create small islands of silence in your day. You do not need a monastery. You need a few minutes without input. No headphones, no scrolling, no talking. Maybe while you drink your coffee. Maybe during a walk. Maybe sitting on your bed before sleep. Use that time to simply notice what is happening inside you. What am I feeling? What am I thinking? What am I avoiding? At first, it might feel uncomfortable. Your brain is used to distraction. But the more you stay, the more you become familiar with your own inner voice. So it does not have to scream through anxiety and exhaustion to be heard. Second, practice the pause in conversations. You do not have to respond to everything immediately. Someone asks. Someone complains. Someone provokes. Breathe. Let there be a little space before your answer. This simple act often changes what you say. Instead of reacting from old patterns, you can respond from clarity. Third, notice where silence can protect you. You do not owe everyone an explanation for your choices. You do not owe every curious person your story. When someone pushes for information that feels too personal, you can say, "I am not comfortable talking about that." And stop there. No extra justification, no nervous laughter. Your silence after that sentence is part of your boundary. Fourth, use silence to listen deeper. In your relationships, instead of preparing your reply while the other person is still speaking, try letting them finish. Then wait a beat before you respond. You will be surprised how much more you actually hear. Their fears, their needs, the things behind their words. Silence here is a bridge, not a wall. Fifth, let silence be your answer when engagement would only drain you. You do not need to reply to every message instantly. You do not need to respond to every comment, every provocation, every drama. You can step away. Not everything deserves your explanation. Your absence from certain conversations is also a statement. It says, "My peace is more valuable than winning this argument." Finally, remember this. In a world that shouts, silence stands out. When you are not constantly available, your words gain weight. When you do speak, people notice. Because you are not using your voice to fill emptiness. You are using it with intention. Silence gives shape to your speech, just like space between notes creates music instead of noise. So as you move through your life, consider this question. Where is my silence right now? Is it fear or is it power? If it is fear, your work is to find your voice. If it is power, your work is to use it wisely. Your greatest weapon is not how loud you can be, but how deeply you can stand in yourself, even when you say nothing at all.